Hi, welcome to Chronically Ill Bitches. I am shooting the cover and some of the inside of my book right now, which will be out next year. Today I wanted to talk about a couple things: mobility aids, online bullying, what you can be and for how you perceive yourself as a sick person. If you have a disability or a disease or whatever it is, that's what I'm going to go over. So mobility aids. I found out my doctor had been asking if I was using my wheelchair. I said no, I don't like using it, or I didn't like using it because, well, I didn't like feeling stared at. And I couldn't put like red lipstick on or a cute Peter Pan collar and bow because, you know, people who are crappy and pretended to be sick ruined it for everyone else. So instead of it being like a brave thing where like, and you look good too, it's like, oh, it feels like you look fake. It's like this feeling where you're like, oh, not only did I feel like I get like a chunk of freedom taken away, I have to look like that's real. It's like this whole perception. It's like you have your own little PR team in your head, like a devil angel on your shoulder, and it's like, stop it, just stop. You already have to deal with what you have to deal with, whether you're getting infusions, tons of body scans, MRIs, CT scans with that burny stuff that is awful all the time, things that your body is doing that is why you're sick, like whether you're in ambulances all the time. You're already going through so much shit as a sick person. Like, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish it on some of the people. Yeah, and then on top of it, like, how am I perceived? Do I look sick? Do I not look sick? Is everyone going to be okay with me? Who cares? As long as you're good with you, it doesn't matter. And if people are like that, they're not your people. So don't waste time on that. Don't waste time on that. If you want to look like, you know, Cyndi Lauper in a wheelchair, just like glammed out and ready to go, and that's what makes you feel happy and like yourself, do that. If you want to roll out of bed and you feel like death and you don't want to do a thing to yourself, do that. So just like, I was really excited because I'm working with a company on the side of my wheelchair, which I believe you saw when I was zooming around Bailey Built. And I'm so excited because they are this family-owned company and they're such amazing people, and they helped me feel so comfortable because the point of my chair is for my heart. I didn't realize what kind of, like, I don't know what magic they did, but like I barely touch it and it goes forward, so it's not like I'm exercising, which is the thing I'm trying to avoid. So in fact, I don't have to be pushed all the time. If it's like a flat surface, it's smooth, I can kind of have some independence and freedom, which I wasn't expecting, which is really cool. I still hear rumors about myself sometimes, and sometimes people will tell me about them to like try to help me, or like I've heard so many rumors about whether I'm sick, whether it's valid, from people who are in the ICU with me. I think there's a lot of things you could explain psychologically as to why. I mean, the thing is, statistically, sick people, and why there's so many memes about it, is you lose a lot of friends when you're sick. Because it brings out a side of, it makes people have to look at certain things in themselves and what they want to do and what their priorities are and how they see people and how they see themselves in this whole new light once you're sick. And sometimes that friendship doesn't last. Sometimes it's not built for that. Sometimes they had cast you as the fun, exciting, cool, entertaining person. And when you're tired and you're sick, it's really not what they had you for, which means they're not your people. It means it was a shallow friendship. Or maybe how much you go through invalidates how much they go through. There's so many things you could break down psychologically as to why you're a trigger for something much deeper in other people when you're visibly, they talk about invisible illness being a problem, but then visible illness is also quite a thing when people see you in the chair and you can see how they look at you. And most people give you the regular, like, oh, she's in a wheelchair face, which is like not my favorite. But I suppose it's better than not being believed. Just so you know, if you are going through that, if you're still working through being gaslit with doctors, I'm really sorry. But if you've already gotten a diagnosis from a doctor, you've been to the hospital, they know what they're doing, and you have people in your life who are saying, do you really? First of all, it's really sad that humanity is there. I was just saying to someone earlier this week, we couldn't have an Audrey Hepburn anymore, or a Julie Andrews, or anyone like that as a breaking performer, anyone truly very wholesome, because our culture is like, who are they really? And so if we had this Audrey Hepburn with her pet deer and they were just this like wholesome little thing, everyone would want to be like, yeah, but what's the real scandal? Princess Diana went through like a lot of that, and people don't always know what to do with like pure things. And a lot of times illness brings you to a place of clarity and truth within yourself, and it causes you to, it's not a cure-all. If you were a jerk and you got sick, you might stay a jerk. But a lot of times it makes you ask some big questions about who do I want to be? How do I want to be remembered? How do I want to treat people? Because I know how I feel, and I know how isolated I feel. I hope I don't make anyone feel that way. And then as soon as you express some feelings like that, people who have, they're not there, they're climbing ladders, they're trying to get somewhere, they're trying to get attention, they're trying to get clout. Their agenda's different, they're not thinking about their legacy at this moment right now. They're thinking about like the gimme brain. So when you say stuff like that, they're like, what does she really want? It's like, well, that's actually what some people really want, especially when they're sick. Peace. But you may find that you don't relate to people your age when you're younger and sick. Your agendas may be different. And that is another reason friendships, you outgrow each other, whatever it is. So if you need to use a walker, if you need a cane, if your doctor says use a wheelchair, and you're like, no, which is what I was doing, if it helps your body and helps you live longer or helps you be comfortable, who cares? And I'm working with this company, Bailey built, and I've been working and talking to them for a long time, and I think we're finally getting to a stage where, because they have like a lot of people online, but I think it's finally soon to be my turn. They're making me a custom chair, and I was going to do something very subdued because I was feeling apologetic about my illness, because you do, and if you know, you know. And then I had this article go, it was perfect timing, because I had an article go viral from Playboy, and everyone was like, why is a cripple on here? She looks like a junkie because I have tattoos and I'm thin. And I probably do look sick. There's probably something, my levels aren't good, so perhaps it shows in a way, subtly. The comments were wild, and the shares and the like headings of those were, it was incredible. I was like, very unanimously, I looked like Sid the Sloth, which is fine. That's fine. That's like the chillest online bullying. There was a lot of just like, ew, but I went through the other like posts on Playboy's Facebook, and that's just generally how these people were talking about women. So I actually I emailed my publicist and was like, is this okay? Like, are we worried? Is this bad? Should we? And they were like, no. I mean, Sydney Sweeney just has been dealing all day with being called mid. She's like one of the most beautiful women in the world. And I was like, oh. I was like, Sydney Sweeney is dealing with the same thing. I'm fine. And I was like over it. And I think maybe like 10 years ago I would have cried. But then like something about the fact that what I've been through, plus Sydney Sweeney is going through the same thing, like I just moved on. I OCD read every single comment and then I moved on. And I kept checking with myself, like, am I okay? And then I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I like me and I'm proud of me. No, I'm good. And then I saw that Sydney had made this like little like reel of like all these of the most crazy things people had said, and I was like, that does sound cathartic. So I did exactly that with the same song she used, because I feel like that's another way to not make people feel alone, because people leave terrible things online. Online bullying is so awful, and just like if you feel like, oh, people, I can't put myself out there because people are gonna say crazy stuff, just know that like I can't put stuff out there with like the worst comments. Sydney Sweeney, you're fine. Just be bold, be brave. Who cares? The internet and its comments, it's just not real. All of that to say, it led me to, no, I'm getting the custom wheelchair. I would never be able to afford that. I don't care what people think. I keep thinking if I behave in this smaller way or in this smaller way, people will question me less or think a nicer thing about me. That's not worked. If people don't want to like you, they're not going to want to like you, whether you're small and discreet or whether you're loud. So I'm getting a gold chair because I was really inspired by Lady Gaga's chair. If you Google Lady Gaga's wheelchair, it's something. And I was like, they're gonna paint any color I want. Doesn't have to, this is for me. I'm the one who has to sit in this for, I don't know, the rest of my life. Like, so I'm getting a pretty gold wheelchair, and I will proudly go about town in that, and it's so comfortable, and it's so nice to not have angina, and it makes me realize like how much I was not doing or thinking of doing, like going to the grocery store, Target, Disneyland, things like that. I had just written those off after my episode last March where I had like damaged, I have damage to my atrium, and now I'm just like asleep all the time and in bed all the time, and I had been trying to figure out, how do I get out? I don't want to miss life. And then that's when my doctor was like, aren't you using your wheelchair? And I was like, no, I thought that was for when I was like half dead. And he was like, no, it's just when you don't feel good. And I was like, I went on my Prince Metal support group and I was like, how many people use wheelchairs? And literally everyone was like, I. And I was like, oh, the only one trudging around with angina without a wheelchair. Because I'm like, you're not half dead enough. You're not actually about to die. Walk. And it's like, oh man, we're so hard on ourselves. Even when our bodies are falling apart, especially when you're raised, when you're a woman, man, there's this subservience and catering, and you're just like, dude, you're sick, like, let someone be there for you. Ask for help. Let help you. Help yourself help you. I worked through all of that and came out the other side, and I've had a very pleasant several days in this beautiful, wonderful chair that drives like a Bentley or a Lamborghini compared to the one I had before. Normally, when it hits like 6 or 7, my body is like, you need to take a nap or you'll die. like nap or die. I've noticed that I'm like, oh, I could kind of keep going into the evening, and I still probably will go rest and take a nap, but it's a lot less like gun to your head. Like, it's a lot less like sleep. It's like, it feels like someone breaks in and it's like, fall asleep or else in your body. Gonna do this for self-care, and less like, I have no choice, I can't stay awake, and I'm sitting and I'm in public, and it feels like my heart is exhausted. And also being in a chair keeps my heart rate down and just my heart working less and the load on my heart. And I'm hoping that I can like go to like Huntington Gardens and not feel like I might die the next day, and I could play a show and feel less like that, because usually a show takes me out for a bit. So mobility aids, use them proudly, and don't feel embarrassed. And if you're not actually sick, please don't pretend to be sick and be weird and ruin it for people who need it. And then don't assume people are faking it until you find out, because it's stressful being sick and scary and isolating. Let's just say I cried for 2 days after seeing Wicked. That's how misunderstood I feel. I'm gonna go see it again. But I feel like Elphaba. This chair is very the like feel very that in this chair. So that kind of covered the mobility and online bullying and all of that. And what else did I want to talk about? Last but not least, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. If you have it, hit me up in the comments on my Instagram. I just found out I had, I was getting a scan for my heart, and in it we found a bilateral pars defect, L5 through S1. I think that's what it's called. Which is like a really weird way of saying you have a fractured spine and in your lower back. Tips for healing it, existing, avoiding spinal surgery. That's the last thing my heart needs, is anesthesia. It's been a crazy week. I announced my album, I announced my book, I was celebrated to the moon and torn to shreds, which I expect will happen when I release both things, especially the book, and that's okay. But the point of it all, at the end of the day, why I put myself out there, why I'm vulnerable when people are so unkind, when I am even so, is because there's also the messages that I get that people feel less alone. And I feel, if you're one of those people, I have all the things in place you're supposed to have. And just so you know, that's not like a weird feeling. I feel so alone. I feel so misunderstood. I feel exactly like at the end of Wicked, when the town didn't know what was going on, but they just heard everyone say, "Get her," and they're like, "Yeah, her, kill her," and she flew away, and Glenda knew why. That one person, you know, but everyone else is just looking at you like you're crazy. I wept. But that's a lot. That's a lot of life when you're sick. And if you feel alone, you're not alone. If you feel misunderstood, I see you. My DMs are open. I try to get to all of them as much as I can, because I know it's so shitty. I couldn't ask for anything else for Christmas than the freedom that I think I've been given this week with this chair, with setting myself free and understanding that my self-care comes before pleasing other people, and setting myself free from caring what other people think. Seeing myself go through, reading all these comments and truly check in, and I don't care if people, it's like the comment section. I'm I like myself enough and I'm proud of myself enough. I love myself enough that other people's opinions actually didn't change my opinion of me. And I didn't know it would go that way until you don't until it happens. Until something happens to test it. And so I feel truly free, very defying gravity. Very this week. I hope you have a wonderful, peaceful week within. But I hope maybe with the outside of you is peaceful too. That could be awesome. We can all wish for that. So everyone have a beautiful holiday season. And I'm going to go continue my photo shoot. And I'm going to take a nap. Happy Chronically Ill Bitches Day video. Wish we were well. That's not, I don't know if that's a happy. Merry video. I don't know. Bye.